In the bustling world of American media and politics, few stories have captured the public's attention in 2025 quite like the explosive legal battle between Caroline Leavitt and the iconic daytime talk show The View. At the heart of this saga is a staggering $800 million lawsuit, a figure so astronomical it has sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry and beyond. Caroline Leavitt, the youngest White House press secretary in history, has emerged as a formidable figure, refusing to back down from her claims against the ABC program and its outspoken hosts. What began as a seemingly routine clash of personalities has spiraled into a high-stakes showdown, blending defamation allegations, political undertones, and the raw power of public opinion in the digital age. If you want to stay up to date on all this news, remember to subscribe to the channel. It's free. The origins of this conflict trace back to early February 2025, when Leavitt, then newly appointed to her prestigious role under President Donald Trump's administration, became the subject of intense scrutiny. Known for her sharp wit, conservative credentials, and unapologetic demeanor, Leavitt was no stranger to controversy. However, it was a particular episode of The View that lit the fuse. During a heated discussion about the Trump administration's latest moves, co-host Joy Behar made a remark that would prove to be the catalyst for this legal firestorm. Behar, never one to mince words, suggested on air that Leavitt's rapid rise to the White House podium was less a product of her qualifications and more a reflection of her physical appearance. She's young, she's blonde, she's pretty. Let's be real, that's why she's there, Behar quipped, prompting a mix of laughter and gasps from her fellow co-hosts Whoopi Goldberg, Sunny Hostin, and Sarah Haynes. The comment, while not entirely out of character for The View's provocative style, struck a nerve with Leavitt and her supporters. Within hours, the clip had gone viral, circulating across social media platforms like wildfire. Conservative commentators seized the opportunity to decry what they saw as yet another example of the liberal media's bias and penchant for personal attacks. Leavitt herself wasted no time in responding. In a press briefing the following day, she addressed the remarks head-on, her voice steady but her indignation palpable. "I didn't get to this position by batting my eyelashes," she said. "I earned it through hard work, dedication, and a commitment to serving the American people. To suggest otherwise isn't just an insult to me. It's an insult to every woman who's fought to be taken seriously in this country." What might have remained a fleeting war of words soon escalated into something far more consequential. Behind closed doors, Leavitt consulted with a team of high-powered attorneys, weighing her options. The decision was made quickly. She would not let the slight go unanswered. On February 10th, 2025, news broke that Leavitt had filed a defamation lawsuit against The View, its parent company ABC, and Joy Behar personally, seeking $800 million in damages. The filing alleged that Behar's comments were not only false, but had caused irreparable harm to Leavitt's reputation, painting her as an unqualified figurehead in a role that demanded respect and credibility. The sum was eye-popping, even by the standards of celebrity lawsuits, and it immediately raised eyebrows. Legal experts speculated that the amount was strategic, a bold statement meant to signal that Leavitt was playing for keeps. The reaction from The View was swift and predictably defiant. On the next broadcast, Whoopi Goldberg took the lead, dismissing the lawsuit as absurd and accusing Leavitt of trying to silence free speech. "We're a talk show, we talk," Goldberg said, her tone dripping with exasperation. "If you can't handle a little heat, maybe the White House isn't the place for you." Sunny Hostin, a trained attorney herself, chimed in with a more measured take, arguing that Behar's comment fell under protected opinion rather than actionable defamation. "This is a stretch legally," Hostin said. "She's going to have to prove malice, and that's a high bar." Off-air, however, sources close to the show hinted at a growing unease. The $800 million price tag loomed large, and ABC's legal team was reportedly scrambling to assess the potential fallout. As February turned to March, the lawsuit gained momentum. Leavitt's legal team released a statement doubling down on their position, claiming they had evidence of a pattern of reckless disregard for the truth by The View's hosts. They pointed to past instances where the show had targeted conservative figures with what they called baseless smears, framing the Behar incident as the tipping point. Publicly, Leavitt remained resolute. In an interview with a conservative outlet on March 3rd, she declared, "I'm not here to play games. They crossed a line, and I'm holding them accountable. This isn't just about me. It's about standing up to a media machine that thinks it can say whatever it wants without consequences." Meanwhile, The View found itself on the defensive in a way it hadn't been in years. Ratings, already a point of contention for the long-running program, took a hit as boycotts organized by conservative groups gained traction. Hashtags like #BoycottTheView and #JusticeForCaroline trended on X, amplifying the pressure. By mid-March, rumors swirled that ABC executives were pushing the hosts to issue an apology in hopes of de-escalating the situation. On March 24th, the show aired a segment that many interpreted as a reluctant olive branch. "We've said a lot of things on this show, and we stand by our right to say them," Goldberg began before adding. "But if anyone took offense to what was said about Ms. Leavitt, that wasn't our intent." It was as close to an apology as the show had ever come, but for Leavitt, it was far too little, too late. On March 25th, she fired back via a press release. "They can save their half-hearted excuses. The damage is done, and I'm not dropping this. $800 million stands." The statement sent the internet into a frenzy, with supporters hailing her as a fearless warrior against media overreach and critics accusing her of grandstanding. The hosts of The View, for their part, appeared rattled. Behind-the-scenes reports suggested that Behar, in particular, was shaken by the prospect of personal liability, while Goldberg privately fumed about the network's handling of the crisis. "They're in full panic mode," one insider told a tabloid. "They never thought she'd take it this far." By late March, the legal battle had become a cultural flashpoint. Pundits debated the merits of the case on cable news, with some arguing that Leavitt had a strong claim under defamation law, particularly given the public nature of her role, while others saw it as a long shot doomed to fail under First Amendment protections. The $800 million figure remained a lightning rod, with legal analysts suggesting it was more symbolic than realistic, designed to inflict maximum pressure rather than reflect actual damages. Still, the sheer audacity of the lawsuit kept it in the headlines, and Leavitt's refusal to budge only fueled the narrative of a David versus Goliath struggle. As April 1st, 2025 dawned, the standoff showed no signs of resolution. Discovery was underway, with both sides digging in for a protracted fight. Leavitt's team hinted at deposing the View hosts, a prospect that promised fireworks if it came to pass. ABC, meanwhile, bolstered its legal roster. signaling that it was prepared to go the distance. Public sentiment remained sharply divided. On X, posts ranged from fervent support, "Caroline's a hero for taking on these clowns," to scathing criticism, "She's just fishing for attention and cash." The polarized reactions mirrored the broader cultural divide, with Leavitt cast as either a principled crusader or a petulant opportunist, depending on one's perspective. For Leavitt, the lawsuit was more than a personal vendetta. It was a mission. In a rare candid moment during a March 29th press conference, she spoke about the toll of the past months. "I didn't ask for this fight, but I'm not running from it," she said. "If I let this go, it's open season on anyone who doesn't fit the media's mold. I'm doing this for the next woman who gets told she's just a pretty face." Her words resonated with a segment of the population that felt perpetually maligned by mainstream outlets, turning her into a symbol of resistance. The View, meanwhile, struggled to regain its footing. The show's signature blend of humor and outrage felt strained under the weight of the lawsuit, and advertisers grew skittish. Some speculated that the network might quietly settle to avoid a trial, but Leavitt's camp made it clear they weren't interested in a quick payout. "This isn't about money," one of her attorneys told a reporter. "It's about accountability. They don't get to wiggle out of this with a check." Whether that stance would hold as legal costs mounted remained an open question. As the calendar flipped to April, the saga of Caroline Leavitt versus The View stood as a testament to the combustible intersection of politics, media, and law in 2025. With no end in sight, the $800 million lawsuit loomed over both parties like a storm cloud, its outcome uncertain, but its impact undeniable. Leavitt's refusal to drop the case had transformed her from a rising political star into a lightning rod, while The View faced an existential reckoning. In a nation already fractured, this battle was more than a legal dispute. It was a mirror held up to America's deepest divides, reflecting the clash of ideals, egos, and power that defined the era. And as the world watched, one thing was clear: neither side was backing down anytime soon. The first week of April brought a fresh wave of developments that only intensified the drama. On April 3rd, Leavitt's legal team filed a motion to compel depositions from all 5 current co-hosts of The View: Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, Sunny Hostin, Sarah Haynes, and Alyssa Farah Griffin, along with several ABC executives. The move was a clear escalation, signaling that Leavitt intended to drag the show's inner workings into the spotlight. Legal pundits speculated that her attorneys were fishing for inconsistencies in the host's accounts or evidence of premeditated bias, anything that could bolster the claim of actual malice required for a defamation win. The prospect of Behar and Goldberg under oath electrified the public imagination, with social media buzzing about what bombshells might emerge. ABC responded with predictable outrage, filing an opposition motion on April 6th that accused Leavitt of waging a fishing expedition designed to harass and intimidate. The network's lawyers argued that the depositions were unnecessary, as Behar's on-air comment was a spontaneous opinion, not a scripted attack. "This is a talk show, not a conspiracy," their filing read. Behind the scenes, however, tensions were mounting. Reports surfaced that the hosts were at odds over how to handle the crisis, with Behar reportedly blaming Goldberg for not reigning in the discussion that fateful day. "Joy is furious," a source close to the show told a gossip outlet. "She feels like she's being hung out to dry while Whoopi plays the peacemaker." Meanwhile, Leavitt kept the pressure on outside the courtroom. On April 8th, she appeared at a rally in Ohio alongside prominent conservative figures, where she framed the lawsuit as a broader fight against media elitism. They think they can sit in their New York studio and tear down anyone who doesn't bow to their agenda, she told the cheering crowd. Well, I've got news for them. I'm not going anywhere, and neither is this lawsuit. The event, broadcast live on multiple platforms, drew thousands of supporters and further cemented her status as a folk hero among the right. Critics, however, saw it as a calculated move to rally political capital, accusing her of leveraging the case to boost her profile in an administration known for its media feuds. By mid-April, the discovery phase was in full swing, and leaks began to trickle out. On April 12th, a conservative blog published what it claimed were internal ABC emails discussing the Leavitt segment before it aired. One message, purportedly from a producer, suggested pushing the envelope to get a reaction from the White House. While the authenticity of the emails couldn't be immediately verified, they ignited a firestorm online, with Leavitt's supporters crying foul and demanding accountability. The View's team issued a terse denial, calling the leaks fabricated nonsense, and accusing Leavitt's camp of dirty tricks. The incident underscored the high stakes of the battle, where every scrap of information, real or not, became ammunition. The hosts of The View tried to reclaim the narrative on April 15th with a defiant episode dedicated to the controversy. "We're not scared of depositions or lawsuits," Goldberg declared, staring down the camera. "We've been sued before, and we're still here." Behar, visibly agitated, added, "If Ms. Leavitt thinks she can bully us into silence, she's got another thing coming." The show leaned hard into its brand of unapologetic commentary, but the bravado couldn't mask the cracks. Viewership numbers released that week showed a 15% dip from the previous quarter, a decline some attributed to the ongoing saga. Advertisers, wary of the backlash, were reportedly pulling back, putting additional pressure on ABC to resolve the mess. Leavitt, undeterred, took her case to the airwaves again on April 18th, sitting down with Fox News' Sean Hannity. "This isn't about one comment," she told him. "It's about a pattern of lies and disrespect that's gone unchecked for too long. $800 million is what it's going to take to make them think twice." Hannity, a longtime critic of The View, praised her tenacity, calling her the voice America needs right now. The interview drew massive ratings, reinforcing Leavitt's growing influence and keeping the lawsuit front and center in the news cycle. Her refusal to settle, even as whispers of mediation surfaced, baffled some observers who saw the case as a long shot legally. On April 20th, a federal judge overseeing the case issued a ruling on the deposition motion, siding partially with Leavitt. Behar, Goldberg, and 2 ABC executives were ordered to sit for questioning, while the other hosts were spared. For now, the decision was a victory for Leavitt, though not a complete one, and it set the stage for a showdown that promised to be as theatrical as the show itself. Legal analysts predicted that the depositions, scheduled for early May, could make or break the case. If they catch Behar admitting she knew the comment was unfair, it's game over, one commentator noted. But if she holds her ground, Leavitt's got an uphill climb. The ruling sent shockwaves through the View's camp. Behar, known for her fiery temper, was said to be livid, while Goldberg reportedly urged the team to stay united. Off-air, the mood was grim, They're rattled. A crew member confided to a reporter, "They've never faced anything like this." ABC doubled down on its defense, hiring a crisis PR firm to manage the fallout and launching a subtle campaign to paint Leavitt as a thin-skinned opportunist. Billboards in Times Square popped up with the slogan, "Talk is free, and so are we," a not-so-subtle jab at the lawsuit's premise. Public opinion, meanwhile, remained a chaotic swirl. X-posts ranged from "Caroline's a queen, standing up to the woke mob," to "She's a snowflake who can't take a joke." A poll conducted on April 22nd found that 48% of Americans supported Leavitt's fight, while 45% backed The View, with the rest undecided. A near-even split that mirrored the nation's polarization. The controversy even seeped into pop culture, with late-night comics like Jimmy Kimmel weighing in, $800 million? For that? Joy could have called her anything she wanted, Kimmel quipped, drawing laughs but also highlighting the absurdity of the sum. As April drew to a close, Leavitt showed no signs of wavering. On April 27th, she held a press conference outside the White House, flanked by her legal team. "We're in this for the long haul," she said, her tone steely. "They thought I'd fold by now, but they don't know me." The statement was a direct challenge to The View and a signal that the $800 million figure wasn't just a bargaining chip, it was a line in the sand. Her supporters cheered, while detractors rolled their eyes, but no one could deny her resolve. The View, for its part, braced for the next phase. On April 29th, the show aired a rare pre-taped segment where the hosts addressed the deposition ruling. "We'll sit down, we'll talk, and we'll keep talking here," Hostin said, projecting calm. Behar, however, couldn't resist a dig. "I hope they've got good coffee at that deposition, because I've got a lot to say." The defiance was classic Behar, but it masked a growing unease about what lay ahead. The legal battle spilled into May with the depositions looming, each side digging deeper into their trenches. Leavitt's team hinted at more evidence to come, perhaps recordings or witnesses from inside ABC, while the network prepared to counter with a First Amendment defense that could set a precedent for years. The $800 million demand, once dismissed as a stunt, now felt like a tangible threat, a number that could bankrupt the show if Leavitt somehow prevailed. Beyond the courtroom, the saga reshaped both Leavitt and The View. For Leavitt, it was a baptism by fire, turning her into a household name and a conservative icon. For The View, it was a reckoning, forcing a program built on provocation to confront the limits of its own rhetoric. The clash exposed the fragility of reputations in an era where words could spark million-dollar wars. And so, as spring unfolded, the nation watched, riveted by a drama that transcended its origins. Caroline Leavitt versus The View was no longer just a lawsuit, it was a spectacle, a referendum on power, accountability, and the price of free speech in a divided America. With every twist, it grew clearer that this was a fight neither side could afford to lose, and neither intended to abandon. The first week of May brought the much-anticipated depositions, a pivotal moment that promised to peel back the curtain on the conflict. On May 2nd, Joy Behar entered a Manhattan law office under a barrage of camera flashes, her expression a mix of defiance and irritation. Inside, Leavitt's attorneys grilled her for 6 hours, probing her intent behind the infamous comment and her history of on-air jabs at conservative figures. Leaked snippets, later confirmed by court filings, revealed Behar sticking to her guns, insisting her remark was just a quip and that she'd never intended to imply Leavitt was unqualified. "I've been doing this for decades," she reportedly snapped. "If I wanted to call her incompetent, I'd have said it straight out." Whoopi Goldberg's turn came on May 4th, and her deposition took a different tone. Known for her measured approach, Goldberg leaned on her role as moderator, claiming she'd tried to steer the conversation away from personal attacks that day. "I don't control Joy's mouth," she said, according to sources, a line that drew a rare chuckle from the room. Yet Leavitt's team pressed her on the show's broader editorial stance, suggesting a pattern of hostility toward Trump allies. Goldberg pushed back, framing The View as a platform for debate, not a coordinated hit job. The depositions of the ABC executives, held privately on May 6th, remained shrouded in mystery, though rumors swirled that one had admitted to encouraging edgy content to boost ratings. The fallout from the depositions hit like a thunderclap. On May 8th, Leavitt's team filed a bombshell motion, alleging that Behar's testimony contained inconsistencies with prior statements made on air. They pointed to a 2024 episode where Behar had mocked another young conservative woman's credentials, arguing it showed a reckless disregard for the truth that supported their malice claim. The filing included transcripts and video clips, turning the legal battle into a multimedia showdown. The View's lawyers fired back on May 10th, calling the motion a desperate stretch and accusing Leavitt of cherry-picking out-of-context quotes to fit her narrative. Public reaction was instantaneous and ferocious. On X, the hashtag Behar lied trended for 48 hours, with Leavitt's supporters sharing the clips and demanding an apology, or worse. "She's toast," one user posted. $800M is too low for this liar. Counterposts from The View's fans defended Behar's candor, with one writing, "Joy's a comedian, not a news anchor. Give her a break." The online war spilled into real life on May 12th, when a small group of protesters gathered outside ABC's New York headquarters, holding signs that read "Justice for Caroline" and "Cancel The View." The network beefed up security, but otherwise stayed silent, letting its legal team do the talking. The May 14th episode of The View was a masterclass in damage control. Goldberg opened with a rare solo monologue, addressing the depositions head-on. "We sat down, we answered their questions, and we're not hiding," she said, her voice steady. "This show's been through storms before, and we're still sailing." Behar, noticeably subdued, added, "I said what I said, and I stand by it. If they want to twist my words, that's on them." The hosts pivoted to lighter topics, but the tension was palpable, a stark contrast to their usual freewheeling banter. Ratings ticked up slightly, suggesting curiosity was keeping viewers tuned in, even as the boycott lingered. Leavitt seized the moment on May 16th with a surprise press conference in Washington, D.C., flanked by her attorneys and a giant screen replaying the Behar clips. She declared, "The truth is coming out, and it's not pretty. They can spin it all they want, but the evidence speaks for itself." She reiterated her refusal to settle, calling the $800 million non-negotiable, and framing the fight as a stand for every American who's been smeared by the media. The event was a slick production, beamed live to millions, and it reinforced her image as a relentless crusader. Critics, however, saw it as political theater, with one pundit quipping, "She's auditioning for 2028, not justice." The legal wrangling intensified on May 20th, when ABC filed a motion to dismiss the case entirely, arguing that Leavitt, as a public figure, couldn't meet the high bar for defamation. Citing landmark cases like New York Times versus Sullivan, their lawyers contended that Behar's comment was protected speech, regardless of its impact. Leavitt's team countered on May 23rd with a blistering response, claiming the actual malice standard had been met through Behar's alleged pattern of behavior and ABC's behind-the-scenes nudging. The dueling filings set the stage for a crucial hearing scheduled for June 5th, where the judge would decide whether the case could proceed to trial. As May wound down, the human toll of the saga became more apparent. On May 25th, a tabloid published a profile of Behar, describing her as exhausted and second-guessing her role on The View. Friends reportedly worried about her health under the strain, though she brushed off the claims, telling a reporter, "I'm fine. Worry about the other side." Leavitt, too, showed signs of wear, her once flawless press briefings occasionally marked by a sharper edge. "She's human," an aide confided. "This is a lot, even for her." Yet neither woman backed down, their resolve hardened by the stakes. The cultural ripple effects grew impossible to ignore. On May 27th, a viral TikTok video remixed Behar's deposition audio into a rap track, racking up 10 million views and spawning countless memes. Late-night shows continued to mine the feud for laughs, while serious outlets debated its implications for free speech versus accountability. A May 29th poll showed public opinion shifting slightly. 51% now sided with Leavitt, up from 48%, a sign that the depositions had swayed some fence-sitters. The View's approval, meanwhile, dipped to a 5-year low, a statistic ABC downplayed but couldn't deny. June arrived with the hearing looming, and both sides ramped up their efforts. On June 1st, Leavitt's team dropped another bombshell, a sworn affidavit from a former The View staffer claiming producers had a hit list of conservative targets, including Leavitt. The affidavit's credibility was immediately questioned. ABC called it a disgruntled ex-employee's fantasy, but it reignited the narrative of systemic bias. The View countered on June 3rd with a glossy promo video touting its 28-year legacy, a clear attempt to reclaim its brand amid the chaos. The June 5th hearing was a circus, with packed galleries and live coverage on every major network. Leavitt attended in person, her presence a silent statement, while Behar and Goldberg watched from the studio. The judge, a no-nonsense veteran, heard hours of arguments before issuing a ruling on June 7th. The case would move forward to trial, set for September 2025. It was a stunning win for Leavitt, though the judge cautioned that proving malice remained a steep hill. ABC vowed to appeal, but the damage was done. The $800 million specter was now a courtroom reality. The ruling unleashed a torrent of reactions. Leavitt hailed it as a victory for truth, while The View's host slammed it as a chilling attack on free expression. X exploded with commentary, from triumphant Caroline's unstoppable posts to dire warnings about press freedom. Advertisers pulled further from the show, and rumors swirled that ABC might cut its losses by sidelining Behar, a move she reportedly dared them to try. As summer approached, the saga entered a new phase, with trial preparations promising more revelations. Leavitt's star continued to rise, her lawsuit a rallying cry for a movement, while The View fought to survive a storm of its own making. The $800 million figure, once a punchline, now loomed as a potential guillotine, its shadow stretching over every player in this unrelenting drama. And so, the nation braced for September, where a courtroom would become the ultimate stage. Caroline Leavitt versus The View had transcended its origins, evolving into a defining clash of 2025, a battle of wills, words, and wallets that would echo far beyond the verdict, whatever it might be.